Sup?
So now that you've got the game running, do you like Jaws more than you did previously?
Ah. Uh, that is a loaded question, and we're doing a deep dive of Foo Fighters, and I don't know what to do with this episode because I just got Jaws yesterday, and it's been a roller
journey.
coaster. It has been a journey.
There and back again.
A Foo Fighters journey. There and back. I don't know what to do. So how about this? For the dear Pinball Party listeners, this week's deep dive of Foo Fighters will not be on Patreon. It will be free to everyone, and we'll get to it, and we'll do it. So for all those out there who want to hear what the deep dives are like, and you don't want to pay for it, here's what it's like, except for we're going to do a little more preamble than normal because I just got Jaws yesterday. So let's just talk about that. So we'll get to Foo Fighters briefly, but back to your question. What are my thoughts on Jaws after owning it? So, all right, it's been about 24 hours. All right. Man, there's so much to set up here. I got the game from Flipping Out Pinball, which if anyone wants to buy a game, that's where you buy it. I'm not going to put the song in, we'll put it later because it's just, let's not do that. Got the game fast, showed up, perfect condition. On the outside, it was in perfect condition. I started up, turned the key. My God, and that's where the fun begins. Every problem that you read on Pinside from Jaws, I have had, past tense, every single one. Air balls from the chum plastic, for days, like all over the place, like insane. It would hit the glass, it would jump over the real shot, and it would hit into the Quinn's shack. Either it would hit the fucking house, or it would hit the wire form and come right back down to the right flipper. It would never go into the reel. Never is a strong word. Rarely. If it did make it past that chum line, it would inevitably hit one of the stand-up targets, which would also send the ball into the glass or over the reel into the Quinn's shack. Same thing. Both of the stand-up targets on the reel. If I ever did get the shot into the reel, which was rare, it would go too fast and then come back and hit the right orbit lane guide, so it would not go into the flip block lane. The flip block would go up because it's like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be in the flip block, and we're going to start night swim or whatever. But the ball would just be flying over the place and drain. So my first few games, I swear, game 3 is when I text you and Pickle, said, this is the fucking worst game I've ever played. I already was going into it not really liking Jaws that much when I played it on location, but figured, hey,
you bring in some baggage with you in.
Yeah, but my baggage was not sending the balls in the air. Or
no.
Yeah. So okay, so the inside somewhat joke then was I started texting all the things in the world that are better than this game. TMNT better than Jaws. AIQ Premium better than Jaws. And I meant it. And so I get all pissed. And I listed it for sale under 10 plays. Get the fuck out of my house, Jaws. You are shit. It's still for sale. But the question is, will I take the sale ad down? If you want a Jaws, it's probably not listed by the time anyone hears this. Maybe not. It's listed for a good price. So then I do the thing is you email Stern to be like, so this thing doesn't work. Granted, if I could get the game to turn on and connect to Wi-Fi. First, connecting to Wi-Fi wasn't happening. The first 5 times I tried with the password that I know so well from living in my house forever and setting up my own router and being in tech, like come on, what the fuck, Stern? Like, I know it's the right password. It wouldn't connect. And then the game would reboot itself in the middle of the game once in a while for shits.
That wouldn't work for you. I was just gonna say for any of your listeners, there is a trick where if you have another game connected to your Wi-Fi with Insider Connect, you can pull up the QR code for your Wi-Fi settings on that game, and then scan your QR settings on your new game, and then you don't have to type the password in.
I didn't have that luxury because all I have is
No,
Jaws.
I know. I was just saying, just in case.
But
But
it's a good
continue.
tip.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you though.
No, I am on a good rant, but that's what's going to happen on this. No, please interrupt because I'll smash something. So I email Stern, and it's the thing of like, come on, Stern, like, please, how can I get across that? Like, first, I know what I'm talking about. Please don't ask me to restart. Just assume. Fuck, goddamn it. So I take a video of. For me, the air balls I knew were like, all right, there's at least some fixes out there. It's a pain in the ass, but like I'll get to it. But it was more like I tried to bend the real lane guide to get it to go back into the flip lock. Like I tried a lot. I called you, we're like, we'll try this, try that. This isn't my first rodeo. Wasn't happening. Full disclosure, still is not fixed. Well, kind of. It's fixed. I email Stern. I send him a video of like 3 times in a row. Like, look at this, huh? Look at that. What do you think? They're like, oh no, that's a skill shot. It shouldn't always be made. I'm like, bro, this isn't a skill shot. This is one of the main shots in the game you need to do stuff. I'm not saying like once in a while from the plunge, hence the video. Okay. So I replied very professionally. So you mean for a $9,500 game, we expect it to... Oh, the solution was, it's a skill shot. Over time, that tends to get better. I'm like, okay, so what? For almost 10 grand, we expect it not to work, and that hopefully over time, it will maybe work itself out. That's your solution? And then that's when they replied that, no, it's more of a skill shot. First, they were just like, oh, that'll get better over time. I'm like, okay, great. Thanks, bro. And then I said, basically, yeah, you're of no help. Phil, send this to like Keith or Gomez.
I have several different rants to attach to this too, right? I think you've heard most of them talking to me through your experience and me just telling you, how to fix different little things that are wrong. But that's only from a decade of Stern ownership, right? Like a lot of a lot of Stern ownership. And part of why you need a great distributor, like Flipping Out, is it is an experience. It's a lottery every time you buy a new game, and sometimes you lose the lottery. Winning the lottery means you only have to do a little bit of work, and losing the lottery means you get to take everything apart. And sometimes you have to have a friend who has a board you can test, or like sometimes you have to read schematics and tell Stern what's wrong with it. It's a different journey for everyone. But ever since we've switched to this new model, really new model, where essentially they're crowdsourcing, kind of, you're the beta tester if you buy in the first 6 months. This is gonna be the way it goes.
And I've reached out to Stern support in the past, specifically for a Jurassic Park left main ramp issue, which they're abound. The same one I had, which was, hey, it's not registering shots and it's bouncing everywhere. And when it's like a consistent, when you can find a pinside thread with like 10 pages on the same specifics, Stern, I mean, it's a problem at that point. But the same thing that, you know what, it was finally resolved on my Jurassic Park last time. And to your point, do you know how it was resolved? By my distributor, not by Stern. This time, I'm not going to go to Greg at Flipping Out. I probably could, and Zach, if you're listening, or Greg, like, why didn't you come to me? I kind of like the challenge as well, and I kind of want to get more ammo to Stern of like, yo, Stern, I know some of you are listening. Fix your fucking customer support.
What's the last game that launched that didn't have a major issue? And then I always feel like Stern just watches how the community fixes it, and then does that, right? Or their fix is insane, right? Like where the rush scoop, you have a good fix like the Ninja Camp fix, which like looks nice and doesn't modify the entire game, and then you get Stern's fix, which is like, hey, we Frankenstein bolted these two blue nubs in front of your scoop.
Yeah. it's one thing to like American Pinball made barbecue challenge. You got to give them shit because what the fuck you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Spooky games break all the time. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Stern, take your licks. Your customer support is notoriously poor. My experience has been poor 100% of the time. 100% of the time, it has been poor. There's never been a resolution. Anyone I've texted, whether it's you or Pickle earlier or other people, it is the same. So that it isn't like we're trying our best. Okay. It's not to just like rant on that, but for real.
It's tough. This is why everybody says manufacturing is hard. And, Stern does make basically kind of the best products in this category, right? To a degree.
sure.
Some people like JJP, but Stern is the leader. They're the market
sure.
leader, and they're building to a cost, and that's going to have issues, right? Like there aren't that many people there. They have a lot in terms of people to test the games functionally. Like I get they test mechanisms, but like this Jaws, which is a game I like a lot, you get on the forums and you talk to everybody is figuring it out as we go, right? On how to fix certain things. And, you can get lucky and have a pretty good experience out the gate. But I mean, the amount of people where you just have to figure it out, I got mine in my boat sometimes on my premium, and you would get this now. It didn't go flat with the playfield. So I had to figure out, okay, well, it looks like if, this plastic tower here isn't aligned correctly, there's enough play in the hinge mechanism where the boat can come down on that. And you're like, okay, so I guess I'll just move this.
Yeah.
And, that's just the experience, right? Which is sad that we all feel that way, but it's just part of owning pinball machines.
And I'm not a stranger to like some of the fixing or some of the stuff, but I think like Jaws in particular is engineered to be like so little room for error. And I speak mainly of like the real physics of that shot, the REEL, of where I get how it's supposed to work, where like it's really doing all these curves to go in a certain lane, and like if it's and that's awesome. But if it's not perfect, it's not going to work. Where a game that's like a fan layout, there's a lot of variance that like, okay, this doesn't have to be perfect, and it's still going to basically work.
This is what we were talking about earlier. You pay the price for ingenuity, right? Like if everybody wants different, they will always want different. You know what doesn't have problems? Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah, true.
Like you get fan layout is simple, right? There isn't weird lane guide issues. You get Elwin who does these really fantastic, cool, innovative designs.
Yeah.
But they don't have a lot of rubbers. They don't have a ton of posts. What they do have is a ton of lane guides, right? And if they get bent different, there's so much variance to how the different games play.
Speaking of rubbers, in the real shot, that like rubber, the stand-up post with that rubber right at the entrance is like, God, that shot is wonky enough as it is, not being like.
Are you talking about the wire?
The wire. No,
just the
what? No, like when you shoot in, there's like the stand-up post with a little black rubber around it. Right when you go into. It's like, so if you shoot the real shot from the plunge side where it goes in through the left, and then comes around, it's that little rubber that kind of bounces it off, so it bounces to your left flipper, just to give it a little nudge.
Oh, yeah.
Where like, so that's already makes the shot surprisingly pretty tough in that game, which is like to have a clean shot, because if you don't, it's so clunky and it just bounces all over the place.
I thought you were talking about the little like Ghostbusters or John Borg little metal rail with no rubber on it, because I know people kind of complain about that quite a bit, where if you don't make the real shot correctly, it seems kind of like a brick. But to me, that seems kind of similar to like the Colossus shot in Deadpool, where if you just kind of brick that thing off, it just doesn't feel good. But that's mostly just you missed the shot.
So I finally I told Stern, shove it. Like they haven't responded. I basically said, look, this is of no help. I didn't insult the guy, but I'm just like, yo, I mean, 10 grand. What are you doing? you know that's not the solution. Your solution was, maybe it'll get better over time. Cool. I'll fix it. Thanks. Close this ticket. I said, close this ticket, send it to Keith, send it to Gomez. This is ridiculous. What the fuck? And I'm like, all right, let's fix this thing. So I took the chum line off, the chum plastic, and there's that fix out there that have sold over 300, meaning they haven't made that many. The game hasn't been on the line that long to not sell many. Basically, everyone almost is buying this chum line support to like stop it from doing air balls. So to test if that's the thing, you take the screws out and you put something in place of it instead of ordering it. I took some rubbers and I put them under there to support it. Fixed. Haven't had one air ball. So it's fixed, and I get it. Like, hey, Stern, you should just fix this. You should. This is crazy. It flexes too much, and the fix is easy. So mine's fixed. I might get the mod, but I don't think I really need to. And then the two...
There's one that you can print. Do you know someone with a 3D printer?
No. That's the one I'm talking about, but I just don't... Oh, actually, I do.
Well, there's one that you can order, but there's also one a guy put up the 3D print model for free on Thingiverse, I think.
What a guy.
It looks different, but nice guy, and it supposedly works just as well. So if you know somebody with a printer,
I guess
you
I
can
do.
dig that up.
Okay, I might. My father-in-law has one. All right, well, shit, maybe I'll do that. Because I don't know if I'll have it long enough to even order. Yeah. So
the guy who prints them is pretty fast, but it'll take a week.
Yeah, oof. I fixed that. Great, works great. Then the two stand-up targets were, for me, almost arguably worse. Like this was flying over shit. I did your fix, or I took the metal out. I bent them a little bit with a vice grips. Basically, it has fixed, I'd say, 95% of them, but there is some physics that just can't change, and it is what it is. But it's like it's at an acceptable level at this point. We're like, all right, once in a while. The real shot.
Yeah, that's a pinball physics problem, right?
Yeah, and you could fix it with doing the kind of Ghostbusters plastic that you'd put above it, and that'd be fine. I think there's an area. The last remaining issue is the lane guide one, and a slower shot, it's fine. A fast one is not. So now I've bent it as much as I could. I'll say it's acceptable for if it's a clean shot. Acceptable enough for me to play the game and be like, all right, maybe as Stern said, over time, it'll be whatever, fuck off. So I played the game. Well, here's this. The first, I don't know, however many games that was, of it all being busted and me bitching and complaining and emailing Stern and all this. Like, yeah, spent a day troubleshooting a brand new game to play it. And then tell a couple thousand people my opinion of this negative stuff. That's how this shit works. I finally got all that stuff fixed, and then my first game with it working was about 1 billion on code 0.87. So it was like a half-hour long game. Felt like a Keith Elwin Godzilla. Like, all right, played the shit out of the game, did a lot, closed like 4 out of the 5 beaches. I'm somewhat learning the code of what I was doing, and got down. I was like, all right, that was taxing. Did I have fun, though, was a question. It's almost not fair, because after 24 hours, I had my first game of where everything like worked to a certain extent, and I got like almost through the whole game. I think basically on that first game, like almost all the beaches were closed. I played all 3 shark multi-balls, whatever they're called, Jaws multi-balls.
Did you catch the sharks though?
I see, that's what I don't know. And then I did the rescue multi-ball.
It's a pretty substantial change, right? So like the bounty multi-balls were pretty difficult to complete, and completing more than one of them extremely difficult in the old rules. And so when you started the bounty multi-ball, you needed to make a shot, hit the shark, and then you'd see.
Wait. Is bounty the same as Jaws multi-ball?
No.
Okay.
The bounties, you start on that right ramp, and then you have to complete the tasks like 80 spinners, 3 ramps, 3 drop targets.
I don't know how many of those I did. But
so the Mako, like the bounty hunts, are a pretty big part of the game, and in the version of the code you still have, for everyone listening, he still has 0.87, I believe.
Well, I now at 0.88, I just haven't played it yet.
Yeah, so they changed bounties pretty significantly, and you used to take you would fail a lot at like 1%, because it's you had to hit the shark multiple times, and that's kind of changed quite a bit. And there's more bonuses for catching the sharks with like increased machete multipliers. So I think bounties, which were already, I think, just a highlight fun part of the game, I think are going to get a little bit more exciting even.
Yeah, the best parts of Iron Maiden, I like the bounty hunts for sure. I like that it's just because contrary to the rest of the game, which I find to be very obtuse, it's very clear of what to do in bounties.
Well, I
So,
told you this when you were thinking about getting one again, that you're getting it at a point where like I can consistently get to the point where I kind of run out of rules, and you start to in the old version of the code, and that could happen when you get to around a billion. It's just you've played a lot of encounters, you've played a lot of bounty multi-balls, you've played a lot of the Jaws multi-balls, you've played a lot of what's there. And
yeah.
in the new rules, there's at least the 4th of July, which is the mini wizard mode that you get for completing shark encounters, and it's a pretty good mode. Like,
Hmm.
if so, I'm sure you'll get there and do that, and it'll add a lot more depth. There's a lot more balance, but I do expect the scores overall to be a little bit higher.
What I do like about the game is so my wave ramp shot, upper playfield,
Hmm.
um, it's not easy to hit, but it's the perfect amount of difficult. Like it's smooth. It's great. I like that shot a lot. I like the center ramp still very fun to hit. I like that left, whatever you call it, that orbit whip around
Yeah,
thingy.
I don't know.
That's so fast. That's a cool shot. And the way right ramp, the Quinn's Shack and all that.
Mhm.
Um, that's kind of about it. The I
I
don't.
think it's a phenomenal layout. I do. And I think the upper playfield, like I would have thought Foo Fighters would be my favorite upper playfield in recently, right? Because
Mm,
I don't like upper playfields.
yeah.
And Jaws right in there. It's another great upper playfield. I think people have finally figured out like the goal is to make some interesting, varied things to do, but make it quick, a quick hitter that doesn't change the flow of the game.
Yeah. The main ramp that you hit up there is very satisfying when you can get it.
Oh, it's so good,
It's
right?
really
The
cool.
just a weird ball path.
Very weird. It took me a while to find it because you have to be quick, and then it's like at the tip of the flipper in a
Hmm.
way. Um,
Yeah, it's super
I,
cool. I was hoping that you'd rant for a while and I'd give you this catharsis where you'd maybe to kind of feel better or like lift some weight off you on your Jaws journey. And
mm,
as some more rules comes out, you can kind of enjoy some more things to do. But it reminds me a lot of owning Godzilla when it first came out, where I'm not a big Godzilla fan. I think the game is fine. It's good, but in my impression, it's a little overrated. But it reminds me of the same parallel where Godzilla in the beginning was pretty light on rules, and that's where we're
yeah.
at in Jaws. It's still a little light.
Day one owning this, I would put it in if I'm ranking my Elwins, Jurassic Park by a fucking landslide is number one. Then Iron Maiden. Then this is where it gets close. Uh, I like the way that Jaws feels better than Godzilla, but I like Godzilla. Oh my god, I Godzilla. Okay, gun to my head, I would take Godzilla over Jaws, and then it's Jaws, then AI Avengers on the bottom. There's I just don't like the droopiness of Godzilla, and I get the philosophy of the game of always be in motion and do this and that,
Hmm.
but there's some code aspects to Godzilla that I really like. I think
Hmm.
there is a lot to Godzilla. If you took the feel of the flipper angle and the feel of this in Godzilla, Godzilla would be above Iron Maiden for me too. It's just I don't like that droopy type stuff, like in Deadpool that I was texting you earlier about. It's just
Yep.
not my thing. But I think the
Hey,
fish
that's
finder
part of the
thing,
fun. That's part
uh,
of the fun. There's something for
fun.
everybody.
Oh sure, yeah. I'm still surprised that Godzilla is where it is. Aside from the
I don't get it.
yeah, the code in like the zombie yeti art and all, I get all that, but as far as like who likes the like the weird physics of that game. It's just kind of like flow. No,
I
flowy is not the right word. It's like slow flow. I don't know.
I just think that Jaws just immediately is a better Godzilla, and I'm sure that a lot of people don't agree with that, and they maybe they love the building, which is a phenomenal mechanism. I think it is a very cool mech, but I just personally, after seeing it 4 or 5 times, I just don't want to see it ever again. Like I
Hmm.
just want to play the game, and when I'm playing a game like Jaws, the mechanism doesn't interfere with me playing the game. It's part of my
True.
gameplay. And
Yes.
that's what I want. I want
Well,
a toy that's like part of the experience.
you're right, except for this doubles down on the video shit that you can't skip, which is
It's
please
not as bad as Bond, but I think it'll get better. And in .88, they let you skip, I think, a lot of the longer ones, if I
good.
read the README correctly.
They should change that word to all of them, all of the video clips. Just look. I mean, but
It's
there's
a
too much.
journey, right?
But
Like
fuck.
trust me, that was I haven't played 1.0 Bond, but I played a pretty fair amount of Bond now, and man, even on point 98 or 99, wow, Bond is just a video, just oh my gosh, I
Just
just have
stop.
to just run forever, and you're like, come on, man, because it's okay, it's really cool the first couple times, right? But when you start playing these games a lot, you own them in your house, and games are like you said, your game of Jaws was a half an hour. Do you want to watch all of those things
No, I don't.
and
I
wait for
don't.
them
I
every
don't ever
time? I
want to
don't.
watch them. No, never.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's difficult.
what are people creaming about on the internet about this chum bucket? Like, oh, the chum bucket's cool. It's just a Newton ball, right?
Hmm?
Little with a
Yeah, I
dangly.
don't.
Okay. Yeah.
I
What
don't
the
have
fuck?
any opinion on it. I mean, it's like it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
What I like about Jaws is, I guess, a bunch of things like the chum bucket, and basically what I'm just saying is, I find that all of the fun in the toys and the upper playfield and the shark and the rubber to bounce it back in with the gate, I find all of that stuff is part of the gameplay, like the unique ball paths and the fast upper playfield. And I like my stuff to be integrated into a smooth experience, and I don't want to watch a building move up and down for 10 seconds. I don't like
No.
that's where I'm at on the whole experience of pinball. And so that's why I like Jaws a lot more than Godzilla, even currently.
Oh yeah. I'm glad that it's in the other room to play until I sell it immediately. I I there's a lot here. It is a packed game. I
Hey,
s-
there's not many up for sale, and normally by this point you'd have a lot more rotating. I
yeah.
realize a lot of people don't have them yet. We're still in that phase, but I mean, we're gonna talk about Foo Fighters after we maybe talk more about some different news or what's going on. But Foo Fighters, you definitely saw when people don't like a theme, and I think Jaws is pretty theme at least neutral. People
Yes.
are kind of holding on to it and kind of waiting to see where it goes.
Um so that's kind of well, I want to talk about John Wick briefly.
Oh
But my,
man,
my
go
cap
for it.
on even though it's not announced yet, it's supposed to be next week or whatever. Very briefly of just what you said, theme neutral. I think that's like what John Wick might end up having in its favor of like it doesn't. There's no expectations of it. Oh, it better be John Wick. I grew up with it. It's my childhood hero. It's no. It's like a fucking movie. I don't know.
Who hates John Wick? I mean, it is a strong movie, and I've seen some talk where people are like, "Oh, it's just a dumb action movie," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know, man. People seem obsessed with Predator and a whole bunch of other, I'm going to put quotes, dumb action movies. I don't think they're dumb action movies. I think John Wick has a really well thought out, really robust world. I think it's very interesting. The music is really good, and the choreography is very different. There's a reason why everybody calls everything now a John Wick clone. It's because it definitely did something, right? It's not the Matrix, but there was a lot of Matrix clones, and you see that with John Wick.
Yeah. I'm I'm way more excited for John Wick than going in the other room and playing Jaws. That's kind of my
It's
thing.
high energy and the music's good. You know, I mean, like, I think that's a recipe for success in pinball. I think it's hard to undersell how much that can really make a fun game.
Yeah. Or it could be a turd. It could also be a turd.
Well, yes, obviously, right? Like I
Yeah.
think there's been plenty of themes that people are pretty excited about, and then you get to play them and you're like, ooh, that's rough.
I guess before I just whiplash everywhere, I still would rather go play Turtles than Jaws.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
just such a crazy
Mm,
bold statement, and I feel like I'm the TMNT apologist. We did an entire deep dive on it.
yeah. I
I
gave it a
like it
4.
more than you, and I like it a lot more than you. I have to defend the game all the time to people, and I'm still at like a 7. And
Yeah.
it's funny. It's just funny to me. But I think it says a lot about you, right? We're very similar most of the time because you like a game that's fast, in
Mm-hmm.
your face, aggressive. That's
Yep.
not what Jaws is. It's not fast. It's not in your face. You need to plan things out. You can't just hit the wave ramp easily on the fly in a multi-ball all the time, right? I think there's
I think it's
Turtles
got
it's in your
ugh.
face.
Jaws has parts of it. It has parts of the fast stuff, that left shot, the middle shot. It
Hmm.
it feels way more like Iron Maiden than anything else he's made. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's somewhere in between an Iron Maiden and Godzilla. It's somewhere in between those two. But I mean, like at the end of the day, Turtles. Look, I'm gonna be pretty objective here, and I like Turtles just more than most people. Uh, Jaws is significantly better rules than Turtles, and
oh yeah.
and
It
I'm a staunch Dwight defender. I bring it up all the time, but like there is no comparison.
but if I would
There's
rather play half shell mode than play Jaws.
But that
Yeah.
scoring is always going to be busted in
Yeah.
Turtles.
But it's like a
I
challenge that I
mean,
want to play. I don't want to fucking I don't want the challenge to be, will this shot work, because the game isn't designed well. Well, I guess that's Turtles too. God damn it. They're all shit.
I was going to say Turtles is
Damn
not
it.
designed super well. Jaws is designed well. The problem is like, did you get one that works? Right?
Mm. Mine works now, but I did not get one that officially, out of the box, it did not have the official, like, stern seal of approval that said this one works.
Hey, I
But
mean, you want
oh yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I
No,
was
I'm
gonna
I'm
transition.
curious. Oh, I thought okay, so you're going to transition. Are you going to tell me about your opinions on Blues Brothers?
Yeah, I was gonna say it couldn't be as bad as Blues Brothers home pin. That thing looks like complete
I
shit.
Look, I am amazed. I know I sent you a thing, but like I seriously every time home pin, like you get a picture in your mind, you're like, "Oh, I understand how bad this could be." Like I played Thunderbirds when it was released, and then they announced Spinal Tap and you're like, "I think I have an idea of how bad this could be." And then you see it and you're surprised at how it could somehow go lower than like it could somehow subvert your expectations and be worse. And Blues Brothers, I had an idea in my mind. I was like, I think it'll do this, and somehow it's worse. That's it's amazing.
This looks this looks
It's
bad. Like I
so unbelievably bad. And I know you saw that flyer on Nap Arcade, and like, just kill me.
it's yeah.
Like, just fucking.
There is nothing about this should be shown to the public. From the playfield is like, just set it on fire. The back box is the best part. It's like, oh, it's just a pass. It's not even passable. It's not
Oh,
good,
it's the
it,
best thing on the game.
but it's the best thing in the game. But then you go to like the promotional, the promotional
This
of the two Asian women.
this flyer kills me. This is supposed to be a real company, and like you designed it in print shop on your Apple IIe. Like, what
This
is this?
can't.
How many fonts are here? I can't handle this.
Is this that
I
clown that actively like talks shit about pinheads? Is this that
Oh
guy?
my god, this guy hates pinheads. I
It
mean,
looks
just
like it. He looks like he's just unhappy. No
He
wedding ring
hates
on.
Pinside. He swears that he's not making pinball machines for pinball enthusiasts. This is a
Clearly.
game for people who want something for their man cave, not someone who likes pinball.
That's this guy. Yeah,
That's
well,
the
he's
weirdest comment I've like. How can you? What?
all right. Here's a couple notes to the flyer. Full-size mechanical pinball machine using industry standard construction. Okay. Game
Mhm,
ships with factory code, quote, ready to play.
mhm.
Okay. Includes mechanical, quote, knocker as standard. Like, oh man, we need that because it's for people in their home. You absolutely need the knocker for a replay. Who gives a shit? You don't need free games in your house. What's fucking wrong with you?
Mhm.
Open source code is Arduino based. Good. So for the home market that is not wanting to customize shit because you don't like pinheads, let's make it open source. What the
Mhm.
fuck? Lowest RRP of any pinball machine on the market today. Made in Taiwan by 100% Australian owned and run company. Like that last part is like, okay, that's cool. Everything else is a joke.
Have you played Thunderbirds?
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
No, I haven't.
It's so bad. It's like what it's really comical. It's just comical how bad it is. The buttons. I mean, the first thing about it, if you've never heard anybody talk about Thunderbirds, he makes everything, right? Because the company used to be in China, and so his goal was to make everything, not buy buttons, right? Like you don't buy Suzo
Ugh.
hot buttons or whatever. Like he's gonna
Right.
make buttons. So the first thing you do when you get up to a Thunderbirds is you touch the buttons and they're hot trash. Like they're
Nice.
they're they feel terrible. Everything about them. They're the worst feeling buttons. And that is the entire experience goes down from there.
I like I don't want to talk about this anymore because it looks so bad. Unless you really want
But
to.
no, but it is funny. I mean, like this flyer alone, I just like the world's first open source, like the drop shadow. I mean, whoa, no, I'm good. I
Ugh.
just like, I just, it's just a thing. I know you understand where I'm coming from, from a design perspective.
Can I read you on Nap Arcade the post we're referencing? The hey, this is Blues Brothers. It looks looks like it looks. Couple great comments. I just want to read you one that I just scrolled down to. I like this
Mm.
comment by a Joe B. Ready? It says,
Yeah,
"What
good.
a ugly looking piece of garbage." That's all it says. What a ugly looking piece. Kudos to you, Joe B.
Good.
Um,
Joe B just killing it. So
Nailed
eloquent.
it. All right, I need
Nailed
to
it.
get out of this trash. Back to the Future probably later in the year. Expo, new Stern game next week. But whatever. I need to talk about something good. Let's do a deep dive of Stern's Foo Fighters. Can we just do that?
Real quick,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, I just want your short impression. Like
Oh.
Dutch Pinball, they do a Back to the Future, right?
Yep.
You look at how much they're selling, Big Lebowski for right now.
What is
So
MSRP? Like 12, 15?
15,
Yeah.
15, I think it just kept going up. But you got to remember, a large amount of that price increase was supposedly, not supposedly, was to pay off back all those early achievers, right? So they could basically make two games in that amount of money. But I don't see them lowering their price. So my question to you is,
Right.
are they going to be able to sell Back to the Future for 15K, with if they haven't dramatically improved their whole system?
I think so because it's Back to the Future. I I would much rather a different company had this, not from a
Mhm.
quality standpoint, because I like Big Lebowski a lot, and I think it's a fantastic game. It's just the price. It's like what,
That's the thing.
yeah, um, shit. I don't know. We'll have to see how many they're
Would
gonna
you buy
make
this?
for 15.
Because yeah, because I think
No.
Big Lebowski technically is 14.5, but I think you have to pay shipping. So one of those things. So like
I
15 grand, Back to the Future.
all right. I have a couple dream themes in my mind, and Back to the Future isn't one of them. From us, what I'm about to say is Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies ever, and I have a very a lot of us do, but I used to fall asleep to that movie every night because it was like comfort food to me when I was in high school. That movie specifically, aside from like Star Wars and Matrix and shit, it was like I didn't have to think, and it was just, I don't know, it was like an anxiety about sleeping or whatever for me. It was something I always played. So I knew the movie by heart. I love it. I remember seeing the second one in the theater, and then at the end seeing the trailer for the third one, which is kind of cool. And yeah, I love Back to the Future. If it was a Stern, I'd be all in on a premium, 100%, no doubt.
Oh man, that'd be good.
Would or a JJP, maybe like wait a week and then it drops $3,000, like they do.
Yeah,
I'd be in on that.
I'd buy one used for $9,000.
Yeah, fuck, man, I don't know. Ask me again when it gets announced, because it could be like all that.
I just wanted a general temperature, right? Because I just wanted to take your temperature on how you feel about Dutch Pinball having that theme. I think a lot of people are up and down on that. So
yeah. I'm of two minds.
We'll move into Foo Fighters.
Let's do it. Okay, so everyone out there who's never listened to a deep dive because you don't have $5 to spare, which I get it. It's pinball. It's a poor man's hobby. We do these deep dives for the patrons, Patreon, whatever you want to call them. You can become a member, listen to the rest of the deep dives, but why not do one so you can all hear what it's all about? Oftentimes we'll release like the first 5 minutes so you can hear kind of what we're getting into, but we'll do the whole thing this time. So without further ado, welcome to an episode of Deep Dive on the Pinball Party Podcast. This week's special game, I say special for a reason, because I think I know where we're going with the rating on this game towards the end, is
safe
Foo
to say.
Fighters. Why don't you talk about when this came out, who made it, and the facts on this game?
Yeah, this is a relatively new game, so thanks to everybody for joining us as we switch this deep dive to free play, I guess.
Just for this week.
Just for this week. But it came out February 2023. Pretty new game. This is Jack Danger's first Cornerstone game. Previously he did do the Jurassic Park home pin, but I mean, that had all sorts of cool stuff in it. Jack is a huge part of the community, so I think everybody was really excited about this game. And software, we got Raymond Davidson. I think Tanya Kleiss helped. Artwork is on Yeti.
It's the other way around. I think Tanya was the main, and then Raymond.
Is he? Wow. Well, I always hear Ray talk about it. Ray Day talk about it so much that I guess I just thought he was the go-to, but I could be wrong.
So Ray Day listens. Hey man, and he'll correct me. But I remember like at MGC. I don't want to get into my first impressions, but this is somewhat where it was. They were both there, and I was talking to them about the game. I think it was more just like seniority level because Tanya's been there longer doing it. But of
course,
more to say in a bit. But like Raymond had a big deal about this code. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, and I think that 3 trim levels: Pro, Premium, LE. Before we get to those, real quick, I don't know who did the like assets for the animations. But someone with Jack Danger, I mean, that is just phenomenal. So I just wanted to mention it quick. But moving into the trim levels, Pro, Premium, and LE, the LE really great on this one. I wish Stern made more differentiating LEs like this. But besides the mirrored back glass, you also get expression lighting, which is a good $500 value. You get the reflective foil cabinet artwork, and then major differences in gameplay, upper playfield. You get the sculptures for the
UFO
van.
and the
van and the UFO Overlord, and then a magnet under the Overlord, and then the physical dead post that comes up when you get a ball outside the out lane.
I forgot that was not on the Pro. Get fucked,
it's not
Pro.
On the Pro.
Owners. Oh.
Yeah, and this is a good Pro. But I do believe the Premium is great. And the LE, this is the game to get an LE on. I'm not an LE buyer, and I'm not buying one for $13K.
I am. Hey-o. Only on this game.
This LE.
Oh yeah, baby.
You own this LE, and this is a great LE.
Okay. Shit. This is one of the. Oh man, I'm so happy to be talking about this game. This is when we were doing deep dives. I was gonna do this one first, just because fuck. I like this game.
Let me pull up the Matrix. I don't believe I missed anything. Did I?
No, I don't think so. If you did, let me know as we go.
Go ahead.
But when at MGC in 2023, Midwest Gaming Classic, is when I first played this game. I guess any of those new to deep dives as well. Just a quick little caveat here, or a step back. We do these things usually in order. We talk about the facts of the game, which we just did, and then we do critical reception, first encounters, long-term impressions, where we rank the game, current used market value. Sometimes talk about the owners of how many owners if we have good data, the notable mods, and the lasting reputation. So talking about let's do critical reception first, and then first encounters. But critical reception, I don't
see it on the Matrix, but just real quick, as we're going to get into it, the one other major difference on the Pro will not accept expression lighting aftermarket.
Right. Yeah.
I just remember that.
Oh, man. So like the two best things.
What a kick in the junk.
Just
right?
a sack kick. The one of the coolest things in pinball, two of the coolest things, expression lights and the dead post, not in Pro. Get yourself fucked right in the ass. That's terrible. But the critical reception of this game was, at the time it was,
I think, super high.
It was just positive everywhere.
Everyone was really happy. Everybody does like Jack Danger. He's a very affable, likable guy. People do like him, and he brings a lot of energy. Like, this is Zombie Yeti, Jack Danger, Raymond Davidson, Tanya. People, everybody really loves these guys, wants to support them, and this is a good layout. Like, this is the type of layout Stern comes out with. You watch a video of the layout and you're like, oh yes, yes. I'll take one Foo Fighters, and then I think
one of your finest
off,
Foo Fighters, please.
One of your finest Foo Fighters. It just started off super hot because people were legitimately really excited about this layout, and I think that pretty much goes across the board. I think everybody's was really excited about it.
Yep. I bought it before I had, I think, seen. Yeah, I was already on the list just because I'm a big Foo Fighters fan, and you get sick of any music, but as an alternative and pop punk, and that just kind of it fits my jam. Always been, especially since the color and the shape, but even their self-titled. Always a big Foo Fighters fan. But my first impressions with the game was at this MGC, Midwest Gaming Classic, which I was actually going. I went through a storm because I had literal storm because I was selling Ray Day a Walking Dead, and I was like, at last minute I wasn't going to go, but I was like, shit, I got to get him this Walking Dead, and hey, I'll get a chance to play Foo Fighters, even though I'll own it in roughly a week's time. At that time, I was like, fuck it, I'll go play it. I went to MGC, and before I even played the game, I watched the panel on Foo Fighters where Jack Danger and Tanyo and MXV were all talking, like Vinicor were talking about the making of the game. So what I really wanted to make very clear, and I don't believe if I asked this to them or someone else, this game was designed how the Premium and LE is designed. And then they stripped away to meet the bill of materials cost for the Pro. Where sometimes people wonder, oh, did they build the Pro first and do this? The Premium was exactly what they wanted, and they had to strip away. So that's the game as intended. I think that's pretty clear. I think, not to interrupt you, I just think that, people do talk about the Pro being good quite a bit. I do like the Pro. I very much enjoy playing the Pro, but I think that people kind of undersell that playfield, the upper playfield, because it adds a lot more depth to not just the mechanical nature of the game, but to the rules, right? So many of the modes really use that upper playfield, and you're missing out on a lot of mode shots by not having it. So I think clearly it was designed with it in mind. Yes, very true. The upper playfield makes a notable difference. Since we do long-term impressions, I'm going to be very, very brief and clear with my first impressions. My first impressions were at MGC, and I only played one game. I was busy at meeting. Well, the new, to put us where we were in time, the new Rush accessories just came out, the Topper. I was playing a lot of Rush with Raid. It was actually pretty sweet. I'm pretty good at Rush, and I was learning the new code with the Topper while Ray Day was telling me which shots to hit. Because Ray Day hadn't seen the Topper in person do a couple things. He's like, all right, I want to see this thing do that. So hit that. I'm like, yeah. And I did really good. He's like, oh, fucking wow, you're doing pretty good. And it was cool having Radio Point, like where to go, and we watched the Topper do the new thing at the Rush. And because the big push at this MGC was Foo Fighters, it's like I can play it at any time. I'll get to it. And I had to go. I'm like, shit, I got to play Foo Fighters. I went and I played, and it was like, I was like, uh-oh, why did I buy this game? Like, I didn't, like, I played it once. I'm like, shit, okay, well, I had already ordered it and paid for it. I'm like, it's coming. And I was like, my first impressions were like, I'm excited, but, oh, man, maybe it's not going to be that great. What were your first impressions?
I think we both fall into the camp where we're both Foo Fighters fans. I'm a fan of the band. I appreciate them. It's not like I listen to Foo Fighters all day, every day, but they've been around 30
Right.
years, right? Like this is a real rock band. I think people on Pinside quite frequently don't understand how big Foo Fighters is. They do sell out shows, like in
you know what?
stadiums.
As a person that loves them and does, I almost want it to be the reverse, because now they're so big, it feels
so
like
big.
you don't have that, like, like, oh, I know about Foo Fighters and other people don't, now they're huge. I don't know.
Yeah, they're so big. But
Yeah.
like, who doesn't have at least, and this is where I think I'm just disconnected from, clearly you don't have to like Foo Fighters, right? I don't love Rush. We've talked about this, but that game is phenomenal. I can separate those two things. That is a good game. So I'm just saying that I already was kind of predisposed to liking Foo Fighters. I was very impressed with Jack Danger's Jurassic Park home pin.
Yeah.
So I was already lined up to buy one of these, and then I saw the first photos and gameplay, and I was like, oh yeah, so I took a day one premium. I played the pro day one on location as soon as it came out, so that I could make sure I didn't make a horrible mistake. So I just played it down at the Pinball Room, which is our local pizza / pinball location, which you've been to.
Yep.
And yeah, it's phenomenal. I just immediately love the game. I do really like the pro. I think the pro is great. So yeah, I just kept mine on order, got my premium, and I love it. So short version.
A week later, my long-term impressions. A week later, got the game and had that anxiety of like similar how I do with Jaws of like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this or whatever. And since I had played it one game and I knew that the band was good and I knew that, but and when I played it, I played a premium at MGC, so I had not played it with the expression lights or anything. At this point, my experience was I've seen expression lights in Led Zeppelin, which was like stock. And then Rush, I had not. Yeah, I had seen it in Rush, in the LE of Rush. So I still had not seen that. But anyway, I got it in the house. And I think it was like the first game, I was like, okay, tentative. And the second game, I was just like, holy shit. It was one of those where like I got giddy of how good it was. We're you suddenly figure it out like, uh-oh, this is one of the best games they've ever made of it, like so many things in that game were like remain incredible. The music isn't fair to this game because it's hey, love it or hate it, whatever. But it's at the very worst, it's like it's not offensive. So if anyone whatever, it fits the game. The theme of being UFOs is phenomenal. That he shoehorned that in there instead of like just being hey, Foo Fighters, and like Dave Grohl used to be in Nirvana. They played on the like.
This was a really smart call by the design team, Jack Danger, whoever else was involved, not doing it Foo Fighters, and just hey, it's a Sunday morning cartoon about Foo Fighters, the band, trying to go around the country to fight UFOs and spread the word. I mean, what a phenomenal pivot. It really works.
Yeah, and the music lends itself well to that. I mean, it's not like it's UFO music, but it just works because the Foo Fighters themselves have this sense of humor in their music videos, where it works out. And playing it at home, realizing, the things that stand out to me, while just noted, there's a lot, but like for me specifically, that were like, wow, the left ramp in that game is such a satisfying backhanded shot. It's an amazing shot. The flow in this game, it's like, it's not even worth, you can't overstate it. How I'll just say that if you haven't played it, my God, if you've played it, you know exactly what I'm saying. The way this game like snakes around and somehow just, yeah, it's just laughable.
Many just asked, "Is this the greatest layout?" And I'm curious, like, what do you think? Do you think this is the greatest layout?
Did you say many as in like many people or Zach
Yeah,
many?
Zach Many. I don't usually refer to him by first name just because that's my name, so it's weird.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, good call. Yep. So what is it? In my pinball opinion, oh, I'd say yeah. And I even because I was when I think of the top layouts, I think, well, I guess he has similar likes to, I think, I'd say Walking Dead, Jurassic Park, and Foo Fighters are probably the best three layouts to me. If you take away the like the overall layout of like Black Knight and Game of Thrones and like the fan stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Foo Fighters is insane how well the layout is, and then you add that upper playfield. But so the things that stood out to me with that left um, ramp, incredible. The center shot that is, I don't, it's just a center shot, but it feels very similar to the spinner to Jurassic Park. So it just feels like the same kind of shot. The fact that, as small as it is for me, I love it, that what the action button was used for was the shot that you accidentally hit when you're going for main shots, anyways. The UFO, whatever you call that little
Yeah, a little
almost Newton
captive
ball,
ball.
captive ball, yeah.
Yeah, what's a Newton ball?
It's
Sure.
just charging up your like spot a shot thing, which is it's simple, and I don't like when people overthink what that button should be used for. So in that game, it's very clear, and you use it, and you can okay, cool. The van modes of like, all right, you can level up your thing, and so finding like how you like to play that you can build the game to that. Where I guess what I'm getting at is I like to hit the captive ball a lot and level up the van to make the modes have less shots, so that when I start a mode, I basically hit the center button once and then hit the UFO and I'm done. Uh, so and then for some reason the 3D sculpt I normally don't care about in a game, but for some reason in this game the like in the premium the sculpt of the UFO and the Overlord is just awesome looking. It does look like an 80s toy. And when the
Yep.
magnet ball is hitting around in there, it's just like, man, it's just a lot of little things coupled with the maybe the cherry on top. And there's so much more to it, but just to, again, cherry on top is when my dead post was not working right, as in it would come up, but it would bounce off the dead post and hit the bottom of my flipper, not come back to my right flipper as it was supposed to. Just, well, I texted Ray Day. I was like, hey, man, I don't know. It's not really being consistent. He just sent it to Jack Danger, who just emailed me and personally and told me the fix. He's like, oh, yeah, just tighten this. And it worked. So, like, seeing Jack when this got announced at MGC and seeing how like responsive he was, he wanted feedback on the game. He was asking people about it. He was legit interested in it, to like getting it home and like replying to me personally to tell me how to fix it. Like, oh yeah, cool. Glad it worked out. There was so much care put into this game that, so I owned the premium, played the hell out of it. It was early on before there was a ton of code. Sold it to just like wait, and like it's what I do, but not because I didn't like the game. But then I went and played it at Tilt, and they had an LE, so I played it with the expression lights, and I was like, holy fuck, oh my god, this game just elevated again. So then I bought the LE, and then traded it with your buddy Pickle, and in the sense that like, all right, cool, the right buy for me is a premium long term when they come out with the expression lights. So here we are a fucking year later when the expression lights finally came out for the premium, and I'm getting one of those with the expression lights. So my long term impressions are just like it's one of the best pinball games in my opinion. How about
Yeah,
you?
I mean, I'm not going to try and bury the lead or anything. On a quick little side note, yeah, I messaged Jack Danger. Just there's a lot of discussion in the pinball community. This and Deadpool, which no shocker there, right? Jack Danger always says Deadpool is his favorite game, and this is similar to Deadpool in feel, I guess, right? With the left to right movement. But what I'm getting at is everybody always talks about the bottom posts on the outlanes and should there be rubbers on them. And I've messaged him about that when the game is new, and yeah, he got back to me right away. He's just such a nice guy, so engaged with the community, and he said it's meant to have no rubbers on the posts, but If you want to make it a little easier, put a rubber on the right out lane post. And I've tested that out quite a bit. I've always
Does it
I
actually make
ran
it
mine for
easier?
I ran it for a year with no rubbers on either post,
Right.
right? And that's just how I'm used to the game. And so a couple weeks ago, I was like, whatever, I'm going to see how the other half lives. And I put a rubber on that right out lane post. And I would say it makes it a little bit easier. I don't know how much to quantify that, like maybe 20, 25%. Because if you're good at nudging, you're going to save some balls that you'd lose.
Mm.
But it has this other weird side effect where sometimes when that's just a metal post, there's more clearance and the ball just goes straight down there or hits and then loses all its momentum and falls in. So it does make it a little bit easier. If you save a ball you would have otherwise lost, clearly that's a huge win. I've left it on just because I still don't know where I sit on it, but yeah, it makes a difference. It makes it easier, but
Okay.
different conversation.
Yeah.
Similar to you, I love the game. I mean, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna bury the lead. I think this is, phew, man, this game is so all over the place. I think to compare it directly to Deadpool, which I used to have in my top 5 games all time, this kind of pushed it out. Not that Deadpool got worse. Deadpool's still amazing, but they're competing for the same space. And Foo Fighters is as easy or as hard as you want it to be. It'll meet you with wherever you want to be and whatever you want to do. If you want to try and just do all the van mods and then shats
Right.
the targets and then
Oh,
finish a city in one shot for 1 billion points, you can do that and it'll let you. And that's awesome. Or if you just want to work your way through the game and see all the mini wizard modes and do the Combotron and the Foobot and you can just work through it in modes. I don't have enough positive. This game gives you a lot of ways to play it, and I don't know if I can say enough positive about a long term ownership with this. I think Mike Vinacore did a phenomenal job with the expression lighting. I think it's really well choreographed. I think it looks great. It's way too
yeah. So you
expensive.
own a premium with the expression
I
lights.
I own a premium with the expression lights. They're $500, um, which like is what it is, right? Like they're great. It's worth it because it's such a big deal. The topper's 2K, like $2,000,
Duh.
so I'm never buying that.
Get out of here.
Looks
Yeah.
great.
Wait,
People
wait.
on.
We're talking about mods already. We got to do that later. But yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
get your
true.
point.
I got sidetracked into the like the hell depth, but expression lights are great. And you owned an LE. My buddy still owns the LE that he got from you. It is, yeah, the LE is so good. The
Mm,
expression lights, it's so weird because they took so long. My negatives with this game are going to be somewhat superficial. How come you can't get mods out, Stern?
right.
Why does it take a year to get expression lights out to people who have premiums?
Because clearly
What's
they were
that?
done because they
They're
launched with them installed in
they
the
launched in
LE.
the LE, right? You can't just like add another zero to how many you ordered or what? I don't get it.
And
But
or, they make the game so much better.
it's great. I mean, the
It's
expression lighting, I like them in Rush. I like them more in this one. And Led Zeppelin, I mean, I don't think either of us love that game, but the
mm-mm.
expression lights are good.
All right, where we rank the game, my highest game has been Jurassic Park, which I believe I gave a 10. I
Hmm.
can't give this a 10 because it isn't there. Oh, it's close, but Jurassic Park is just kind of, hey, not that I can't. I could, but I'd give it a 9.5 for me for Foo Fighters. Just it's it's so high up there. It's the one I wanted to do the deep dive first. The negative. I don't know. Some people don't find this a negative. Sometimes I don't. The game isn't crazy deep, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be as deep as it is. It's deep enough. I don't want there to be more because then you start doing the Godzilla problem of like my one shot qualified six
Hmm.
different things. Like what? Like, well, everything. Well, fuck. Then so okay. Yeah, Foo Fighters, man. Fuck. It's so
It
good.
it's a catch 22. Code depth is such a difficult thing to balance, and this has a lot of rules. There is no shortage of things to do. There's cities, the mini wizard mode, the three overlord multi-balls, the combotron multi-ball, the foobot.
Oh yeah.
There's the toy time multi-ball now, the final battle multi-ball. I mean, this game has a lot to do. I don't think that you can complain about it being um, shallow. I I'm definitely, I don't know what my highest rated game is. Maybe I should have been writing these down. I know in the Star Wars deep dive I said that's my favorite game to play right now, which is
Yeah.
true. I'm very much enjoying playing Star Wars. It just engages me the way I like to play games. But Foo Fighters is one of my favorite games ever.
Yep.
So
Same.
it's a different ballpark. I have no plans of getting rid of Foo Fighters at any point in time. I'm not a bolted guy, but I've owned a game for 15 years, so I can say that kind of thing. Um, I think I'd give it a. Nothing's perfect. I'm not a
Yeah.
10 guy, so I guess it's a 9.5, and I don't know what I would change. I think the game is
I know what I'd change.
difficult enough. Yeah, what would you change?
I would. Well, I haven't owned it since the new code came out. And
Okay,
I mean new as in like once they added the new Fubot
0.99
announcer.
and 1.0. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which is exactly what I would remove is the Fubot announcer. I would love to be
I
able to disable that.
I like all the new callouts. Like if you haven't played it in a while, to somebody listening or to you, Jason, there's now a different voice out a new announcer for each city, and then now there's the DJ who's the DJ for the city, and then there's the Foobot, like the big topper head that you're trying to put together, like Voltron,
Yeah.
and he makes different callouts too. So he'll
Ugh.
tell you what your spinner level is. I think it was really aggressive in 0.99, and they dialed it back and balanced. They attenuated and leveled the volumes a little bit better in 1.0 and 1.01 or beyond. I think I like it. Like Jack Danger's the voice of Chicago,
That's
which is
cool.
kind of a shame because
Oh.
I don't like the Chicago mode very much.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't get to hear him very often. Yeah, I just don't play the. Do you play the Chicago? I just don't love the Chicago mode.
What's that one? Tell me how you play that one again. With
I'm
orange?
trying to think. Um,
I haven't owned it in like 6 months, so it's been a while.
Chicago is the one where you a hurry up is started on a shot, and if you don't hit it, it will change to a. It will like spread to a different one,
Okay.
and then you have to extinguish all the lit shots, and you get points based on their value.
Mm,
I don't love that one. Like Roswell is the one where you're trying to shoot the orange shot and stay away, make sure the green shot doesn't get the orange shot, kind of like Jurassic Park.
sure.
And then
Well,
Los Angeles is the ramp combos.
um, well, okay.
Chicago's the only one I don't like.
Well, just hit the UFO a bunch or the captive ball, and then load that up to 4, and then level up the van, and then you only have to like hit it
Hey,
twice.
that's part of the thing. There is variety. The
Yeah.
fact that you even don't like a mode means the modes are different enough where I can tell that. That's not a
Hmm.
negative. I think that is a strong positive, that the modes are different enough that you can feel they're different. That is a positive thing. I could talk about this game quite a bit though. I don't have any real negatives. I think the animations are great. I think there's a ton of music in the game. Like
Well,
just so many
surprise,
songs.
surprise. It's a fucking music game. Yeah, there
They
is a
don't
lot of
always
music in
have
it.
a ton of music in them though, right? Like it, I guess to comment on it, because we didn't
Sure.
comment on it. The game came out in February and Taylor Hawkins died in
Oh,
March.
well, yeah.
Pretty sadly, right? And
Mm.
I think that must have delayed the development of this game quite a bit, because it certainly seems like there was going to be Foo Fighters call outs originally, and just a real tragedy.
Yep.
But I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. It's tough, and I mean, drumming wise, anything that's from their self-titled or Color and the Shape was not him drumming on it. I mean, that was Dave Grohl, and
Correct.
but
Yep.
not to discount anything from Taylor. Taylor's great, but
He's great.
my biggest, um, well, I guess I should say my 3 favorite Foo Fighters albums that mean the most to me are their self-titled, The Color, and the shape, and oh god, what is it called? There's nothing left to lose. No, no, no. What the hell is it called? Wasting Light. The hell, Wasting Light. Holy shit! If anyone is a music fan and doesn't know about the Wasting Light like documentary of or how that was recorded, they recorded it analog, or the board they used on Wasting Light, and a lot of the guest stars on that. That is one of the best sounding albums they've ever made, if not the best sound in how it was mixed and mastered and recorded for that matter. But Arlandria on Wasting Light is, oh man, there is a that album. I wish it was more just those 3 albums, but it is what it is.
I was gonna say, do you like the new albums? I think that's kind of a polarizing.
Nah, I mean, Wasting Light is the last really one I really dug, because now they're getting into that big band. When I was saying like wish they would go back, that kind of big band U2 crap. U2 was always trash, but like that, like now we're this like stadium band, and Green Day, same. Green Day's fucking real bad now, and they've one of my favorite bands, clearly, if you hear Neon Dale, and it, go back to not doing what you're doing. But Foo Fighters is still great. You mentioned this earlier, but just to beat it to death, the notable mods on Foo Fighters are basically the Stern mods, accessories.
Yeah. Oh man,
the expression lights. It's just like if you're gonna have
if you're
premium,
debating it, yeah.
If you're
debating, just do it. Like you're in deep enough. Just get the expression lights. They are that good.
Oh yeah.
I think the only debate, and we'll get to this in a second, is should you just buy used premium or used LE? I mean, like if you're debating buying expression lights, should you just try to get a used LE? I think that's a debate we'll have here in a second. But the only mods I care about, because there are some good mods. I think Pinmonk does some good gel inserts for this game, for like the lightning bolts. Because I think that some of the inserts, because they're all white,
sure,
can kind of get lost a little bit. I think his gel inserts are good. There are some really good mods for the game, but I don't think you need any of them. I think it's such a good looking game, and the sculpts are so good.
Yeah,
it all feels a bit much for me.
Which I feel kind of, I don't know what the right word is for this, but let me just explain it. The Stumbler Area 51 mod.
That's the one I was thinking of first.
So Stumbler, who makes the Godzilla mods that everyone loves. A couple of them rightfully so. I really like their UFO and all this, but they're very expensive, high-end mods, I'll say. And so they're like, oh, hot on the heels of Godzilla, let's make this one for Foo Fighters. Area 51, I don't think you need it, and I don't think it's worth the money. You just don't need it. I
certainly don't get it. It's not cheap. It does have lights in it that look kind of cool, and I think it's cast, so it looks high quality, but I also just don't get it.
Right. I don't get it at all.
People do your thing. Like, do your thing. If that's your thing, you get the game and you want to put $3,000 in mods in it, that's awesome. I'm here for anybody doing whatever they want to do with their games. And it's similar to when I was talking about, putting the rubber on the post. I'm never trying to tell someone, oh, your game's too easy. If you're having a hard time with the game and you own it, make it easier. Like, you own it. Set it to 5-ball. Yeah. Like, you have to experience the game the way you want to experience it and have a good time. Just for me, I don't understand the value in this mod.
Nope.
I'm not giving you any more money for it.
The current used market value on this game is strange, but maybe strange is not the right word. It's just what it should be.
Bizarre.
The market, it's bizarre, but yeah, the market is just going.
Bizarre.
It's just getting back to like pre-COVID times. I mean, again.
Well, we can do 2 rants here. Somehow, this game is number 8 on the Pinside Top 100, which I think is much deserved.
Oh, I think it should be higher, but yeah, it should.
I think it should be top 10. Yeah, it should be in the top 10. This is a great game, and I think that it's in the top 10 because people, even though there's that group of people who just don't like Foo Fighters, totally get it. Who it just doesn't get the hate that brings games down. But you look at the used market pricing, and it really is a weak game. I think all games are weak now, but like this game sells for less than a Godzilla premium by a significant amount.
And I very much think it's worth more.
So many more used Godzillas out there than Foo Fighters. I think the game the I think people like the regular people like pinball collectors have determined that the Pro is good enough, and I think that might be hurting the premium LE pricing. I don't know. Do you feel like the Pro good enough for you?
Fuck no. In Foo Fighters? No.
Yeah,
No, that's
no,
easy.
okay.
You can't do the expression lights. You don't get the upper play field. You don't get the dead post.
Mhm.
Nah. And the fact that like the Area 51 multi-ball, like you have to hit the ramp 6 times instead of getting it up on the upper play field and, maybe just hitting
You
it
also
once.
don't get to control it, right? Like it's going to start every time you do
Right.
that. And I think that's even part of like the Combotron. Like, man, when you haven't played it a bunch lately, but like when you get the Combotron multi-ball ready, it's on the side ramp. So like when you're trying to get ready to try and stack things with the Combotron multi-ball, I like have to actively stop flipping the upper flipper. I just because I'm like, well, I can't. I'm gonna accidentally start this multi-ball, and I think Area 51 is similar on the Pro, where you're just gonna kind of accidentally start it. Maybe you're not in a mode. Maybe you're not stacked the correct way, and it's just gonna start.
Mm. Oh yeah, so Pro, get the fuck out of here. I don't even care what the price is on the Pro, but probably 6 grand. Everything is like 6 grand now for a Pro.
I think so, and there's good value pros, and I think that this is one of them. This is a good game. The Pro is very good. If that's what you can afford, killer. But yeah, the premium LE all the way. But
Yep,
yeah,
it was.
used premiums really dropped low there for a minute.
Yeah, I think they are starting to like not necessarily come back up, but at least even out. Like if you're very lucky, you'll find one under 8. But like
Hmm.
truly, I think those are people just trying to move them, and I don't want to like, because I don't want to kind of advertise that to me the okay, a Turtles or a Led Zeppelin, yeah, below 8. A Mandalorian premium, yes, of course, below 8. A
Hmm.
Venom, of course. But the fact to me that Elvira's House of Horrors is ranked above Foo Fighters is like speaks to the, I'd say, general like it's easier and oh look, it's Elvira's House of Horrors. Hell no, Foo Fighters to me is way better than Elvira's House of Horrors. I think the rest of this,
Definitely.
like the rest of the list, it kind of works out. I would personally, if I'm looking at it, Deadpool's number 5, Foo Fighters number 8, switch those two. That would make more sense to me. But this
I
isn't my
think
list.
the pricing on this game has rebounded pretty significantly, and I think that yeah, people have a little bit of a price memory, similar to for a minute you could get James Bond premiums for 7,500, and those things are kind of outliers to a degree. Like, is the code stagnant for a long time? Are those prices in Florida? Did something new
Yeah,
interesting come out? Where do you live? Like there's so many variables. I don't think that's normal. I think the median price on this is above 8. And
yeah,
I think that if the game has expression lighting, I think that is a
eight
real
seven.
thing. I think it's a real mod that you have to pay for. Otherwise,
Yeah. Oh, it
yeah,
is
I mean it's definitely a
because
thing that's good.
yeah, if you the expression lights hold their value at about a $500 in the used market, and they should because if they don't, like, just take them out and sell them to someone for like 450. And I mean,
Yeah,
they're yeah.
exactly.
So
I
Foo Fighters
I
premium,
fall
I
into
so
oh
low 8s, if not like high 8s
that's where
with
I'm at.
the expression lights.
882. I think where you're at in the country, if you're in Florida, that's not the same price as if you're in Wisconsin,
Right.
right? And the
It's
LE
$4.
is the thing that really I think keeps the price of the premium down. You see that with a lot of LEs now, where the LEs losing so because they're so expensive at 13K and they make 1,000 of them. You see that really suppress the pricing of the premium quite a bit, where you know if you can get a premium, if you can get an LE Foo Fighters for 10 grand, which used to be the case, maybe they're rebounding a little bit, but you used to be able to get them for 10 grand, you're not going to pay 9,500 for a premium. Why would you?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Why would you? Especially in this
So
game when you're
it's
actually
insane.
getting some. Oh, so we'll talk about this more, or someone will talk about this when John Wick gets announced. But I don't see John Wick selling $13,000 LEs. Who's gonna fucking buy a limited edition John Wick for
I
13,000 US dollars?
I'm telling you, this LE model currently is just a really tough sell on everything. I was shocked, when the Venom LE came out, similar I think to probably you and a lot of other people, when I was like, oh man, we're still doing this the same way, huh? We're gonna do 1,000 at 13K on this Venom LE, and yeah, that hasn't gone well, right? Like people are having a very hard time selling Venom LEs for 9 grand. Like that's not me being like hyperbolic. That's
No.
like true.
Yep.
I think that John Wick could suffer the same type of dilemma, and that makes you unexcited, right? Like if you were like, hey, and I know we're back into main podcast conversation here, but if we're talking about pricing, if you buy a John Wick premium for 9,500, you have to realize that if that LE tanks hard, your premium is going to tank hard because the LE will drive the price of the premium down.
Mm-hmm.
So your premium John Wick isn't going to be even 8 grand if the LE is only 9.
I guess before I comment on that, yeah, the lasting reputation of Foo Fighters is that it's a fantastic game, and at least I wouldn't bet that the Venom accessories maybe. I don't say they never come out, but like at that point, who cares if
Who
they're
will
not
care?
selling well? Yeah, Foo Fighters at least like people love the game. When the new code came out, like the big new code, people were like, hell yeah! They bought the topper, Expression Lights, like it's got a new resurgence. It's still
That
a game
topper
that people
sold
love.
so well. I mean,
I
I'm going to
know.
rant here for a second, if you let me.
Please.
The topper, I love the topper. Do you like the topper?
Pick a topper. I don't love it, so
Okay.
I don't know.
I like it. I mean, like the Black Knight Sword of Rage topper, right? Like it's very like those. They're interactive in a fun and interesting way.
Yeah.
Like the Godzilla topper sucks. The Stranger Things topper sucks. Jurassic Park topper sucks. Like they're normally just kind of flat plastic and boring. This Foo Fighter one is really good, and I have to kind of thank Stern that they priced it at a level that I just will never pay, which makes me actually want to go harder. I think they should price it even higher.
Yeah,
because I think
$5,000.
the goal. Oh yeah, totally. Like if their goal is to make less of them and to maximize profit, like what's the thing on this? Has to already be well outside the range of normal, like cost analysis, right? Because we're way past a 5x. This thing has to already be at like a 10 or 20x. Like why not just go full ham? They still sold them all at 2K. Or I said at 4K.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's so dumb. But I do like it. I just had to rant for a second that like I'm glad they priced it so high that I won't buy one because the Expression Lights took so long to come out. I debated not buying them. But then I was over at my buddy's house. Yeah, I was over at my buddy's house and I was looking at his LE and I was like, yeah, I'm not getting rid of the game. So of course I'm gonna pay them way too much for these.
Yep.
But in defense of the Expression Lights, someone does manually program those lights. There's labor hours in that, right? Mike Vinacore is manually doing all that from your interview with him on your podcast. You had a really great interview on I don't know what podcast number, but
69 probably
was on podcast 69. When the Pinball Party podcast, when you had Mike Vinacore on, he talked about programming expression lighting, and that is a manual thing, and people always want to know, can you AI do that? Can you do that with AI, or can you do it with? It's not going to be the same. No. Like you want someone who is engaged with that music to make a cool light show.
Yeah, and speaking of Mike Vinacore, like he's has a Instagram account called the Punk Vault. He is a punk rocker at heart, so he is a great person to like lend his ear to this genre of Foo Fighters. Very much has a lot of its roots in punk rock. Punk rock is not always just like the super fast. I mean, whatever, you know what I mean. But Foo Fighters, lasting reputation. It's a great fucking game. Go buy it.
Can I just get your impressions of like different types of music now?
Now that the deep dive is over, sure, yeah.
No, just your like I want your beatboxing like interpretation of
Well, that was because of the drummer thing. Of when I'm thinking of music, I'm thinking of the speed of it.
Like snake jazz, like.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of like beads on the ride cymbal and using brushes and having my high school, drum teacher be like, "Oh no, you're not in the pocket." Fuck you, dude. I'm in the pocket. I'm high as shit. What are you doing? You're teaching the class. I got baked before. It's 6 a.m. My buddy and I were in the trees smoking cigarettes and smoked a bowl before we came in here. I can assure you, I'm in the pocket, good sir. Man, jazz band. That shit's fun.
Oh, man.
Were you in band? Were you a music dude?
I played alto saxophone in middle school, and then was also in choir. So in high school, I decided, well, I won't do the band thing anymore. So I just did choir. But I come from a pretty strong musical family and background, so I kind of like everything. But I was a bedroom DJ in the '90s, and did that whole thing. Had all the equipment, and that's where a lot of my understanding comes from. And then clearly, when we're talking, it's because I have a long history in consumer electronics and the audio industry and selling equipment, right?
Well, let's do a deep dive on speakers sometime. But all right, this is a lengthy whatever we just did there, amalgamation of a normal episode plus the deep dives. Special thank you to all the patrons out there, that growing community. It's awesome. It helps support the show truly. We really like doing these deep dives. Going forward, the deep dives will remain exclusive to patron members only. But we wanted to do one on one of our favorite games out there right now, Foo Fighters. And had an excuse to talk about Jaws. We'll see how my impressions of Jaws change, and hopefully John Wick next week.
That'd be great. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.